I'm asked all the time, which is better, Marvel Legends or Marvel Select? Generally, I almost always say Marvel Legends, but sometimes Select just does it better. Other times, they fill a gap that Hasbro just hasn't made yet, or they just haven't made right yet. We're going to talk about all of that today, because it's the top 10 best Marvel Select figures as voted by you. What's going on, everybody? My name is Matt, often called Big Nerdy. You are the NWO, the Nerd World Order, and this is Nerdzoic. If this is our first time meeting, I have been a collector of toys for 20 years. During those 20 years, it's mostly been Star Wars and wrestling, but over the last few years, we've added in Marvel Select, we've added in Marvel Legends, we've added in TMNT NECAs. We're all over the place now, folks. In fact, to fund my addiction, I now have a store. Make sure you check it out, nerdzoic.com, for all your action figure needs. Now, this is based on a recent survey that we held on social media. We had a couple of hundred responses. If you want to be part of future surveys, make sure you're following me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. If you take ravens, let me know. I'll send a raven your way. No, not the raven part, but everything else is true. Quick disclaimer, buyer beware. As I was doing my research, a lot of the older ones of these are all available for a good price from China without packaging, which means they're fugazi. They're fake. Now, a couple of quick honorable mentions because they somehow didn't make the top 10. First, Mephisto. He is one of my most wanted Marvel Select figures. He came in 11th in the community vote somehow. He scales really well with Legends because he's a bigger dude. He looks super menacing and evil, and yeah, he's super expensive. Another honorable mention is the Lizard, just because I think the Build-A-Figure looks like crap, and I think he's a pretty good looking Select to make up for that ugly bath. He came in 34th though, so maybe he's not that good. And last but not least is Abomination, who is interestingly among the best and the worst in the survey, so very big mixed opinions on that dude. He came in 15th overall on the best, and he came in like 17th on the worst, so whatever. I think he's a great looking Abomination figure unless we get a Legends version. Coming in at number 10 is Gladiator Hulk, as seen in Thor Ragnarok. This came out in 2017, and he's not a cheap guy. You can pick him up for about 75 bucks on the secondary market. The Incredible Hulk is, of course, from Incredible Hulk number 1, as far as first appearances go, but this is Gladiator Hulk, which was first seen in Incredible Hulk number 92, which is from the Planet Hulk run by Peter David, if I'm not mistaken. This sucker is 9 inches of hulky goodness with 16 points of articulation, and it works great with your Legends. But you can get the Legends bath for about the same price, so kind of a pick your poison type of deal. Either way, they both look great. Buyer beware here too, ton of fakes on eBay. There was another version of this previously released that was 100% based on the Planet Hulk storyline and does not look exactly like the CGI Hulk we see in Ragnarok. Coming in at number 9 is the Destroyer, who first appeared in Journey into Mystery number 118 back in 1965. This figure was released in 2017, and you probably remember him from Thor 1 when he fought him in New Mexico in that little desert ghost town in the first movie. At just about 9 inches tall with 16 points of articulation, somehow, even with him being in the MCU, the Destroyer was never made by Hasbro. The only time we got this in Marvel Legends form was by Toy Biz back in 06 during the MODOK wave. I think it's time for you to update this one, Hasbro team, if you're watching me. Dan, Dwight, Ryan, I could use this. Based on what we saw in the MCU though, this one does scale perfectly with your Legends, and he looks awesome. The only problem is his price. You can't usually find them for less than $80 or $90. Coming in at number 8 is Venom, who was initially released in 2013, and he can still pick him up for about $30. Venom first appeared, of course, in Amazing Spider-Man number 298. This Marvel Select figure is actually being re-released, and we will have him at the Nerdzoic toy store whenever he comes in. Keep an eye out for that one. We did get a different version in 2019, and to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure what the difference is. The one from 2013 that you guys voted on, and that's getting re-released, has a bunch of heads, including like a half Eddie Brock, half Venom head. It looks pretty darn cool. Part of me feels like he's too big to put with your Marvel Legends, being he stands in at 8 inches tall, but in the Marvel universe, he is 7.5 feet tall, so technically he's only a half an inch too big to go with your Marvel Legends. So I think he scales perfectly well, especially if you like a big guy as your Venom. Sorry, my Vince McMahon voice came out. You know Vince McMahon would like make this guy champion like immediately. Look at that guy, he's huge. Speaking of huge, coming in at number 7 is Rhino. First appearing in Amazing Spider-Man number 41, this figure comes with 16 points of articulation and stands in at 8 inches tall. This is compared often to the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure Rhino, but personally, I think this one looks better. He doesn't have the weird-looking shoulder pads, which may or may not be canon, but I prefer this look. Now, Rhino is technically 6.5 feet tall, so this one coming in at 8 inches is technically way too big, but because he's a big, beefy character, I can personally suspend my disbelief and put him with my Marvel Legends. It's a close call. This is one of the most faked Marvel Select figures coming out of China, so if you see him cheap on eBay and it's shipping from China, that's probably why. I bet you back when Paul Giamatti was filming John Adams, he never expected he'd eventually be a Rhino. Kind of. Coming in at number 6 is Thanos. He came out all the way back in 2005 towards the beginning of this line, and he is still available everywhere for a decent price. Right now on Amazon, you can get him for about $37. Thanos first appeared in Invincible Iron Man number 55 back in 1973, and like I said, this is a very early Select figure, and it's based on his Infinity Gauntlet-like costume. He has 14 points of articulation, a removable gauntlet, but the most impressive part of this, he comes with a Lady Death figure that isn't just like a plastic piece of plastic. She's articulated, so she's like getting an extra figure, and Hasbro has never made Lady Death, so that makes him pretty awesome. Also making him pretty awesome, he's had multiple releases over the years, so he's readily available pretty much everywhere for a decent price. That said, he is slightly too big and he doesn't quite feel right with your Marvel Legends figures. I actually prefer the one that was released this year with the Infinity Gauntlet. That's actually cheaper. You just don't get the Lady Death, but you do get a better looking figure with more articulation, so it's a pick your poison type of deal there. Coming in at number 5 is Colossus. Originally released in 2013, he can be picked up at about retail pretty much anywhere. First appearing in Giant Size X-Men number 1 back in 1975, this is a classic version of Colossus in his classic comic uniform, and it comes in at 8 inches tall, and it comes with Danger Room accessories that I think are pretty darn stupid, but hey, who am I to judge? Like Thanos, he has had a ton of re-releases and is really easy to find at a good price, but at 8 inches tall, he's slightly too big to scale with Legends. Colossus would be 7.5 inches tall, in perfect scale. I'm waiting for my Colossus versus Juggernaut 2-pack to come in to find out if I'm even going to bother keeping this Colossus, but he does make for a great alternative. Coming in at number 4 is the Hulkbuster Iron Man, released in 2015. You can pick him up for about $40 on Amazon. This armor first started appearing in comics in 1994 as Iron Man's Mark 14 suit, but it looks pretty much exactly the same as it did in Age of Ultron. This guy is 8.5 inches tall with 16 points of articulation, and he makes for a good budget substitute for the Legends Hulkbuster, but the Legends one just looks better. Not just scale-wise, he just looks better overall, though I do like the coloring on this one. Just like Thanos and Colossus, he's been released multiple times, so he is easy to find at a decent price. So if you don't want to pay the $40 he's going for on Amazon, hang tight, he'll come up again soon. Coming in at number 3 is The Watcher. He was released in 2003, one of the first Marvel Select ever released. He is currently up for pre-order in places. In fact, he's pre-order sold out everywhere. First appearing in Fantastic Four number 13 back in 1963, this figure is 9 inches tall with 12 points of articulation and comes with a detailed moon base. This works perfectly with your Legends because the Watcher is actually like 20 feet tall, so 9 inches is actually too short. He should be a huge fella. And with Galactus coming out, I think everybody needs this. I think everybody needs a Watcher in their collection, except for Rorschach, who probably wonders who watches the Watcher. Coming in at number 2 is the Juggernaut, who was released in 2013 and can be found for about $36 on Amazon today. First appearing in X-Men number 12 back in 1965, this figure is 7 inches tall with 16 points of articulation. He does scale really well with Legends, though he is slightly too big, but because he's a Juggernaut, much like Rhino, he's a big beefy guy, so he does look pretty darn good with him. Now, I'll be honest, I do prefer the Juggernaut that comes in the Colossus 2-pack because he gets 2 heads with him, but this one is also great, and if you prefer the brownish looking look of Juggernaut versus the red, this one's definitely the one for you. Like Thanos, the Hulkbuster, and Colossus, this one can be found at a decent price pretty much everywhere, so keep an eye out, don't overpay. Alright, time to go to number 1. This is, I agree, the best Marvel Select figure ever made. This thing is perfect to go with your Legends. He's amazing, he's readily available. Let's do this, let's talk about number 1. Coming in at number 1 is the Immortal Hulk. who was first released in 2020 and is getting a re-release coming up here soon and should be available at the Nerdzoic toy store. I hope no one's playing a drinking game with how many times I plugged the store in this video. This Hulk is 9.75 inches tall, comes with 16 points of articulation, and even has an extra set of hands included. I will absolutely be getting one of these for me when they come in because I think he beats out all of the comic Hulks that are in Marvel Legends. That said, I'd love to see Hasbro tackle a classic comic book Hulk as a Build-A-Figure soon, and it would probably be among the best Build-A-Figures they've ever made. Do you want to see who else is among the best Build-A-Figures ever made? Then you're gonna need to check out this video right here. And remember, you have to grow old, but you don't have to grow up. Just be cool and stay nerdy. Later.